I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You've been duped. Yeah, hoodwinked. Actually bamboozled into believing that chili is just a recipe. Ooh, that's so wrong. Chili is not some one-pot wonder you plop in a bowl, smother in cheese, and hope your kids will eat. No! Chili is a full-blown meal plan hiding in plain sight. And once you see it, you'll never look at that pot the same again. Instead, you'll think of it as your secret weapon. Cheaper than takeout without the guilt. That's why in this video, I'm showing you how one cozy chili pot becomes pumpkin chili, perfect for those fall vibes, chili stuffed sweet potatoes that feel fancier than they actually are, taco bites that scream weeknight fun without the Pinterest level stress, a cheesy chicken pasta bake that even picky eaters won't fight you on, and a chili salad jar, which is basically a burrito bowl in disguise. Now I know what you're thinking. I already have my classic chili recipe. Sure, but here's the thing. Most people are playing around with chili because chili is like that friend that can hang out with anybody at the party. So for example, if you throw in chipotle peppers, roasted corn, and cilantro, boom, Southwest smoky. But if you toss in oregano, cinnamon, and chickpeas, suddenly it's Mediterranean date night. Or if you sprinkle in a little bit of garam masala, ginger, and a swirl of coconut milk, suddenly you've got Indian takeout vibes without the delivery fee. Now see, chili isn't one recipe, it's a costume closet. Which is why this plan works beautifully for lunch or dinner. But this week I'm just going to show you how I pack it up for a work lunch week and then pair it with a healthy homemade sweet treat. Now because it's currently fall, we're leaning into flavors like pumpkin, apple, and pecans. So it's seasonal, it's cozy, and Instagram worthy enough if you want to flex. Now here's how I keep it simple. I put together a 12-month seasonal grocery guide, which is basically your cheat sheet for what's in season and what's going to be cheapest. Print that once and then tuck it into your recipe box or binder and you're going to be set for the entire year. It's like giving your brain a personal assistant that says, buy sweet potatoes now, they're dirt cheap. So then you can flex this chili or any recipe year round. Because yes, I eat chili in July and I don't care if my neighbors think I'm weird. So here's your job. Absolutely nothing. Just sit back and sip that lukewarm coffee you've heated up 3 times today. Oh, let me get mine. And we're back. So yeah, just let me show you how this all comes together. But remember, I am actually just your average home cook, so I'm going to show you how to batch your chili, remix it into lunches, and then I'm going to show you how to make those sweet treats that don't require a candy thermometer or a degree in pastry arts. And if you are going to want the full recipe cards, the swaps, and grocery breakdowns already done for you, I've tucked this whole sequence into this month's Dinner Done Dispatch. Every month I pull together a seasonal meal plan like this one, breakfast, lunch, and dinner included, so you don't have to think about it. And I'll drop the link below if you want to peek at that ready-to-use resource. All right, mama, let's get lunch or your dinner done. All right, so this is how we keep everything organized. It's called a fridge bin. And all of our cold ingredients are gonna go right in this bin. No more treasure hunting in the crisper drawer. So first up is ground turkey, but you could also use ground beef. This is our chili engine because ground turkey is affordable, it's versatile, and it's a total team player. And specifically with ground turkey, it is excellent at just soaking up spices like a sponge, and it pulls the whole pot together. And it's gonna keep you fueled throughout the afternoon slump. And another thing is that pound for pound, ground turkey is typically cheaper than ground beef. So that's your lunch budget working smarter, not harder. So this is a total of 6 pounds. Each of these is 3 pounds each, but I don't think I'm going to use all of this beef, and we are going to go ahead and cook this. So I'm going to go ahead and set it right here. Next up, you're going to need onions and garlic. You already know why we need these two. I mean, it's like the bass and percussion of the flavor band. I mean, you might not notice not having them right away, but without them, any meal is flat and tasteless. And what's going to happen in this recipe is that your onions are going to melt into sweetness. And then your garlic, oh, this is just going to wake the entire pot up. And this combination is going to make your chili taste like you've been simmering it for hours. Even though we don't have that kind of time. This is like a 15-minute chili from start to finish. And having onions and garlic in your refrigerator at all times just makes good sense because they're cheap, affordable, and last forever. Next, you're going to need bell peppers. And these add color, crunch, and that hint of natural sweetness that balances the spice. And those of you that grow them in your garden are likely inundated with them this time of year. And if you're not growing them, no worries, because in the fall, peppers are abundant and they're affordable. Now, in addition to adding color to your chili, peppers also help to add bulk to your chili so that if you're feeding more mouths, you're not also feeding your grocery bill.
Okay, so next up you're going to need some type of beef. It can be chicken, vegetable, beef, whatever you have on hand. This is just a veggie stock scrap broth that I make. It's super simple. I just take all of the produce scraps from the week, I put them in the crock pot, and I let them simmer like overnight. I add, a little bit of salt, some seasonings, like boom. It's essentially a free product and it tastes excellent. So yeah, you're just going to need some broth. This is a half gallon, but you can eyeball it. Anywho, you want to think about the broth as your chili security blanket. And your broth is going to stretch the ingredients, marry the flavor, and keep everything silky instead of stodgy. And I don't know, I just think that having broth is like having insurance in your kitchen. You're also going to need some type of cheese, so just choose one that you think pairs well with chili. This is a cheddar and mozzarella blend.
Now I'm telling you, cheese is how you win hearts and minds, especially with kids and husbands.
But what we're specifically going to use the cheese for in this recipe is the pasta bake and the taco cups.
And doing that turns a simple lunch into a comfort food without a fight. I mean, okay, it's not essential, but it's highly persuasive.
Also going to be using spinach, which is a stealth nutrition add-in. Now this is optional, but you could also substitute this with the green of your choice, like kale or chard. And here's how we're going to use this. We're going to toss a handful of this into our pasta bake and our chili, and it is going to essentially disappear like magic, but then leave behind fiber, iron, and vitamins. So if your family isn't jumping for joy at raw spinach, most of the time they'll have no problem when it's baked. And as a reminder, whether you're picking it from your garden and using it within a couple of days or you bought it from the grocery store, you absolutely want to store your spinach in some type of like cloth because there's so much moisture in your spinach and that's what makes it go bad early. So doing this, you can keep your spinach in the fridge for a week. Now, totally optional is avocado. You can either go with fresh or I like these cups. And this is just a little brand that I get at Aldi. As I mentioned last time, these will keep in your fridge for like weeks at a time. They're much easier to maintain than fresh avocados. And the farm girls on the channel let me know, so I absolutely had to pass this on us in the comment section, that you can throw these in the freezer. Oh my goodness, I love that because these are going to store amazingly. I mean, the packaging is so well on these. I would just like leave them like this and put them in the freezer. And so that is excellent. But yeah, so if you're a guac fan, definitely go ahead and add avocado. Later on in the week, we are having a salad. And so you just want to go with some lettuce varieties that you prefer. And these are just little like baby lettuce heads. And there you have it. These are all your cold ingredients for the week. Okay, so we've done our first bin, which is for all of our cold ingredients. But now you'll need a second container for all of the ingredients that are going to live on your countertop space, meaning that they don't need to be refrigerated. Now, if this is not your first time in my kitchen, you know that I like doing that because I do not like the hunting and pecking aspect of when I go to cook. I just like to boom, like jump right in. Like right now, it's Sunday afternoon and I just have the mental headspace to be able to prep my meals for the week. So I usually use a basket, but my mom actually picked up this like topsy-turvy thing for me. I love these. And in fact, I got her started on using them, but like they're the much smaller ones. I don't know if you can tell. This thing is like, it's bigger than like an extra large pizza size, but she found this for like some crazy price for like $10 because the other ones are like, if you haven't priced those recently, they're like close to $20 just for like, like the normal size ones or whatever. So this is not going to fit in any of my cupboards. And I wasn't exactly sure like where I was going to use it or even like on shelves anywhere. It stores nicely, like, vertical this way. But then I thought, you know what? This could be really cool to kind of sometimes use as my basket, which again, it is just a space where like I can see the ingredients that I need. So let's get to that list. All right. So first up, you're going to need diced or crushed tomatoes. Next, you're going to need pure pumpkin. Do not confuse this with the pumpkin pie mix. Kidney beans, black beans. And then this is going to be a really big pot of chili that I'm making, but I don't have any more canned chili beans, but I do actually already have some chili that I made. So I just grabbed this. This is like my home canned chili. So I might need this jar too. All right. And so basically what we have here is the trifecta of a fall themed chili base. Your tomatoes are going to add acidity. Pumpkin is going to add silky depth and vitamin A. And then your beans are going to add protein and fiber. And like, just so you know, that bean combination can be anything you want it to be. As I mentioned earlier, I am running low on my canned, like the aluminum canned kidney beans, but it could be a combination of like dark red and then the light red. You could do garbanzo beans. I mean, whatever you have, it'll work. All right, so next up, you're gonna need what I like to call carriers. We have 3 of them for this meal sequence. And the first are corn tortillas. Now, what I normally do is I just buy these in bulk and then I separate them myself into like 10 or 12 at a time. So here are my corn tortillas. And actually, these tortillas are gonna become taco cups. You're also gonna need some pasta, and any small noodle variety will do. So I am just using, like, we're like keto-ish. And so this is a brand that, so it has 55% less net carbs. You're starting to find like more of those varieties. And basically it just uses something that's called modified wheat starch. There's not a noticeable taste difference, like, at all. And so, yeah, so this actually has, per serving, it's just 16 net carbs, whereas your regular pasta is normally like around 40 grams. Yeah, so that's the only reason why we're using this, but go ahead and use whatever pasta you have on hand. And then we're also going to be using sweet potatoes. And if you didn't know, sweet potatoes are an excellent source of vitamin A, B6, and C. Now, the one thing I want to say about these 3 carriers is that they are affordable, filling, and endlessly flexible. I mean, seriously, these are pantry staples that keep meals fun without breaking the bank. You're also going to need some puffed rice cereal for our crispy bars. Now, while cereal is not cheap at all, puffed rice still remains very inexpensive. And also, it's not highly processed. Again, the puffed rice is what we're going to be using as the base for our lunch dessert all this week. Now, the glue for our crispy bars is going to be some type of nut butter of your choice. So I have here some almond butter, and then I also have this almost empty jar of peanut butter here. So that's why I'm just going to go ahead and mix these 2. And then I've never tried this one before, but I found it on sale a couple of weeks ago. It's this raw walnut butter. So if I run out, again, I'm just going to mix and match, but you can use a combination of whatever nut butters you have on hand. And for that sticky sweetness that's going to bind everything together for our crispy bars, you're going to need either honey or maple syrup. Now, you're only going to need a few drizzles of this, whether you're using maple syrup or honey, but you absolutely do need it because the maple syrup is going to be our crispy bars architect. And you need your little sweet treat add-ins. Now, I'm going to show you what I'm using, but this is by far not a hard and fast list. I'm going to use some craisins, some mango, but you know what would really be good? Some dried apples, some dried mixed berries, some butterscotch morsels. I might use the pineapple. I think so. And then chopped nuts of your choice. And I think this week I'm going to use some pecans. All right, so you see all this? Essentially, these are the wardrobe changes for our crispy bars. Now, if you want to eat the same bar every week, absolutely. Like, you do not need all those different combinations. But if you wanted to change it up a bit, that's kind of what you're looking for. You just want to go for that combination of salty, sweet, and crunch. And here's the thing, y'all. When you buy those cereal bars that already have like these fruits that are mixed in, the markup on them is just so crazy. Instead, you can just go, most of these are like little Aldi brands. Get them yourself. Make a neutral or a blanket bar like we're about to make, and suddenly, it's going to taste better. It doesn't have all the preservatives, and it doesn't have the markup either. Now, when it comes to your spices and herbs, you are going to need your chili seasoning mix and then also a pumpkin pie spice blend. But outside of that, just a basic spice and herb cabinet will do.
Okay, so all of the non-refrigerated ingredients that we need for our lunch is right here. So this is essentially our second command station where we're going to grab everything to make our meals. So here's what I hope is happening in your mind right now. I hope that as you saw this ingredient list, you're thinking, oh yeah, I already have that. Or I could substitute this. Or yeah, that's not too crazy. If I need to go out and get something, it's probably only a couple of items.
Okay, friends, meal 1, pumpkin chili, and here's why you're gonna love it. For starters, this is not only the base of our recipe, but it also cooks up in one pot. So go ahead and turn on your stove and drizzle a little bit of olive oil in the pan and grab your fridge bin. Take out the onions, the garlic, and your peppers. You can put everything else back for now. And it's time to dice up our onions. Remember to save those skins. Let's add our onions to the pan. And while the onions are sauteing, let's go ahead and dice up our bell peppers. Now, don't forget, just because you cut the tops off doesn't mean that this entire thing is something that you're going to go ahead and discard. I mean, for me, I'm going to save these scraps for my stock, but go ahead and cut around the stem. I mean, see how much of the bell pepper you still have left to dice and add to your chili. Yeah, like when you think about it, especially because I'll see people just toss this out. But look, they're tossing out like handfuls of diced peppers. So definitely it is worth it to cut around your tops. Okay, so we have the cores that are going into my scrap bag. And see how easily, like when you're cooking with fresh produce, it is to get these scraps to start making your own stocks. All right, the onions are translucent, so we're gonna go ahead and add a few dollops of garlic. Now, y'all, this is absolutely the flavor base that we're creating. And then we'll go ahead and get ready to add our ground meat and then our peppers. Okay, y'all, so I think I said earlier that I wasn't going to use all of the ground turkey that I have, but actually I remembered that I am in fact going to, because I'm making this base recipe, which we're just going to keep using for the other meals. But, and here's how I think you're thinking about this too. So I'm going to make this base recipe, but then after it is cooked, I will probably, like for our lunches this week, this is what we're going to have. And then I'll switch it up to something else. And then I'm going to go right back again to this base recipe, and it will just go ahead and save me like this part of the process for next time. And so I hope that you all are doing that. You're actually often going to see me do that with particular like meal sequences. Say, oh, I'm going to go ahead at this particular point and double it, because I will in a heartbeat kind of eat all week sometimes then, like just from the freezer or from like work that I've already gone ahead and done. And I encourage you to do that too. Okay, friends, so our meat hasn't finished cooking just yet, but now I'm going to go ahead and add our peppers. Okay, friends, like a minute has passed, and you know what? I am actually going to go ahead and I'm going to siphon off the excess right now before adding my chili meat and seasonings. And this isn't because this maybe won't become like the same meal sequence that we're making right now. But you know what? I like to have options. And you know what? So sometimes like I'll follow it through and like, I mean, definitely it's like chili season, right? And so I'm going to want lots of different chilies. But also this is an excellent base right now for anything. This could be like, I could throw spaghetti sauce over top of this and Alfredo sauce over top of this. I could just do whatever because there's just garlic, onion, and peppers that are in here. And the meat is already cooked. And so, yeah, for some reason I'm like, Cass, nope, just like hold off. Just do this for now. And so, yeah, I'm going to take this out, let it cool. And then I'll tuck this in the freezer, and you will likely see this in another meal. Okay, so we've got that siphoned off, and y'all, it smells so good in here. Now we're gonna go ahead and add our chili seasoning. And just to be clear, I like to go ahead and just sometimes cook my meats rather than have them like frozen, because just think about it. That way, like when I get home from work or when it's time to cook, I've already saved myself the time and the dishes of being able to have meat that's like already fully cooked in the freezer, just waiting, you know, to become the next meal. Okay, so we've added in our chili seasoning. And next you're going to season with some cumin and smoked paprika. Okay, now remember, friends, that crumbles, which is what we're going for, soak up the flavor better. And if you don't eat meat, you can swap in lentils, tempeh, or mushrooms. And y'all have seen me before. I love mixing turkey and beef sometimes for richness, but without the grease. Okay, so I'm just going to add like a pinch of cinnamon, and that is going to complete our seasoning squad. So now after you add your spices, You just want to keep stirring and let them like toast for a couple of minutes, because I am convinced that spices are kind of like, they're like us before our coffee. You need to let it like wake up a bit, you know? Oh yeah, y'all, this is looking good and smelling even better. Okay, friends, we've officially reached dump and stir time. So we're gonna add our 2 cans of kidney beans, our black beans, the pumpkin puree, and then the diced tomatoes and broth. In go the beans. And the tomatoes. I know. Ordinarily, this would have been diced, but it's chunky. Again, it's fine. It's the flavor component that it's lending. And we already have that kind of like tidbit texture or chew that you're going to get from the beans. So it really is fine. Stir everything all together. Oh, yeah. Well, y'all, do you see what I'm seeing? Now, at this step, I normally add some of my broth. But I am almost certain, and this is the first time that I've done that, but I cook, as y'all know, with substitutes all the time. And I'm putting that in like fake little air quotes because I don't think that there's ever one recipe to do anything, because like there's not, right? Like that's really only a modern kind of way of thinking about cooking. But anyways, because I added those crushed tomatoes, I'm getting that spoonable body that you want when you have a chili that you might not have if you're using, you know, like the diced tomatoes. Anyways, I am still going to add a little bit now, but this is really just acting more so like as a flavoring agent. I was expecting to use a lot more than that. I do need to go ahead and just add a little bit of salt for this pot. And that's really just going to bring out the flavor of those spices and herbs. Now, here's the thing though. If you really want this to have a strong pumpkin forward flavor, then you can absolutely add 2 cans. I like it where it has like, it's a nice little undertone of like, what is that? Oh, like it's pumpkin, and it makes it different enough because chili is going to be on repeat probably now through March in some type of variation, right? And so just those little tweaks is how I keep it interesting. But oh, yeah, y'all, this chili is on point. All right, so our pumpkin chili is ready. And you can absolutely, if you wanted to, warm up your thermos in the morning and your chili and put that in there. But you know what I think actually works better? My jars, right? And I have so many of these. And so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to take our chili, this is a quart-size jar, and spoon it into our jars. And then y'all know, if you've been following me here on the channel, I have used these for years. I love them. They're called jar jackets. You can get any brand or design that you want, but here is the thing that I would recommend. I love using these jar jackets because they're made out of silicone and I have a microwave at work. And so what I'm able to do is you can warm up your chili, but then like with the jar jacket, like on this thing, and you can hold it while you're eating, because that's just the life I live at work. And so here's the thing. You want to get a design that has these little like holes in here. And the best way that I can describe it is, ladies, you know when you got to put on your pantyhose and like you just don't like step into your pantyhose and pull them up. No, like you do the little like shimmy thing where you bunch them all together and then you just take it all the way up. Yes. So there are other designs that don't allow your fingers to like get in there, you know what I mean? To then slide it up the jar. Because if you don't have that, like look at how I'm going to get this on here. If you're using your fingers here to slide this thing up, no problem, right? If I didn't have those little holes that were there, like the first ones that I bought all those years ago, I was like, oh my goodness, this is taking forever. And so, yeah, I just love using the jar jackets because it just makes it so easy. So yeah, we're going to do that. And then I just have these lids here. So when it's time for, I'll secure it and then I'll just crack open the top a little bit. leave it on there so it doesn't splatter, and warm up my lunch. Now doesn't that look good? Let's go ahead and put our lid on top. And let me go ahead and spoon my husband's. And now I'm going to store the rest of our base recipe, which is our pumpkin chili, in this half-gallon mason jar. I love these. I probably have a set of, I don't know, maybe a total of 10 of these things that I use because they can hold beverages easily. They can hold meals. I mean, they're just so versatile. And then I have these different caps that all fit on them, right? So like if it's a beverage that I'm using, you know, I'm going to put on this top, but if it's something else, I'll just go ahead, you know, and put on these. Y'all, like they just, I don't know. Like I need things that are endlessly versatile, you know, in my kitchen. That I need things that can play more than one part. Okay? Because let me know if you've ever been here. Having too many gadgets that can't like do multiple things, it's a lot, right? And there's times where I am so thankful that my kitchen is on the smaller side, because it's forced me over the years to really think about like, goodness, like, is this purchase really going to be worth it? And I will tell you that you can get away with a lot less than you think when it comes to like cranking out meals. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and spoon this in here. Now, I also forgot to mention that if you don't like beans, you can actually bulk this up with zucchini or even cauliflower. And if you are cooking for kids, you can go ahead and just kind of like have the chili powder as you're making this recipe. And then if you want to, you know, go ahead and add like your hot sauce, sriracha, all that kind of stuff. This would be the point after, like, you know, you'll have a jar for you and then a jar for the kiddos. Just to like create variations on your meal without feeling like you always have to create separate meals for different tastes. And just like that, we have our chili for our lunches tomorrow. We have our half gallon of our base recipe here, along with another quart, and then 2 pints for our lunches. 1 for me, 1 for Trey. And now that this is cool, don't forget that I have my ground turkey with onions, garlic, and pepper ready for, well, whatever I need it to be. Okay, so I'm gonna bring our pan back, which I just washed, and you're gonna turn the heat on medium-low. And you're gonna need to grab your nut butter and your Crispies. Oh yeah, and the maple syrup too. So what we're basically going to do is melt our nut butters with some maple syrup or honey if that's what you're using. And you're going to melt it until it's glossy. And then we are going to fold in our Crispies. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of the remaining. Oh my goodness. I thought I had more peanut butter left. Okay. All good. So now I'm going to try this walnut butter with cashews. I mean, I can imagine how it tastes. I like all of these nuts, but I've never had this before. Yeah. It's very mellow, like compared to like a peanut butter, you know? But really good. So, yeah, it's very gentle. Okay, I like it. Okay, so here's what we're working with so far. Again, my burner is on a number 2. So it's a medium low. Now you're just going to go ahead and sweeten to taste. So I'll probably add what looks to be about 2.5 tablespoons maybe. This isn't going to be like the only sweetener that we're adding to our crispy bars. And so you really don't need to use a lot. Okay, so I have now cut the heat because it's pretty melty. And then again, you just are going to, let me get you a little closer here. You're just going to eyeball the density of the Crispies that you want to add. So add a little and then like stir it around to make sure everything gets coated. Okay, this one's for the farm girls that are always in my kitchen. What tool do you think I'm about to tell you to grab? That's right, your silicone muffin tin, because we're actually going to make, I mean, you could put these in a pan, but I mean, this is just so much easier to clean. They're going to pop right on out. And so what we're going to do is you're going to take your mix and we're going to create a combination of crispy bar flavors, like right here in this tray all week long. Bada bing, bada bam, and it is done. And so one of the things that I have been forgetting to do, actually, there was a farm girl here on the channel. She didn't say it like this, but like in my mind, she was like, Cassandra, you need to go ahead and just use like a little ice cream scoop when you're like scooping this stuff out. I think I was just, you know, using my hands. My sink's right there, that kind of thing. But she's absolutely right. Or even if you had like, I only have the ice cream thing. What's the smaller one? Why would you need one that small? What is that one for? Oh, cookie, things. Yeah. So you're just going to take your oh, this is much nicer. Yeah. Thank you, farm girl. I appreciate that. So you're just going to go ahead and scoop and dump. And then we're going to add our combination of toppings. If this is our first time meeting, hi, I'm Cassandra from the blog becomingafarmgirl.com, and I'm here to help you cook with what's on sale, in season, and better yet, already on your shelf so that you can get dinner done. And I put this whole sequence into my Dinner's Done dispatch, which is kind of like my weekly kitchen packet. And if you want to check that out, you can click on the QR code on your screen and the links below. Okay, so I have a total of 12 here, so that will give us enough for the week with 2 left over, maybe not because my husband really loves these. So the first combination that I am going to mix in while these are still warm is, it's like a cranberry filled one. And so here's ideally what I would want to do, but I do not have any oranges on hand. So a cranberry and orange zest combination, oh my goodness, that would be so good. But I don't have, as I mentioned, any oranges on hand, and that's fine. So I am just going to add some cranberry, and then I'm going to mix in a few butterscotch. Oh, here they are. A few of the butterscotch drops, and then maybe sprinkle some chia over top. Now we'll add some butterscotch and a little extra chia. Boom. Okay, and for these next two, I'm going to do a combination of mango pieces and flax. And yes, this absolutely works because mango, like these dried mango pieces, at least to me, y'all, they are so sweet. So it's really like a burst of sweetness that I like, that it's slowed down or kind of like anchored by the peanut butter. The mango flavor doesn't really like shine through. Again, it's just like sweetness. And then what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of ground flax. This is what this is. And I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle that on top. You're not going to taste it, but boom, those two are done. Now, speaking of combinations that I love, one time I had dried apples, cinnamon, and graham crackers, and I like crushed them and I made them into like one of these little crispy balls. That was so good. I don't have those right now. And it is fun, right? Because again, it's the same recipe and you just change it up a little bit. And so to kind of mimic that, what I do have is some pumpkin pie spice. So I'm going to use that. And then I think I'm going to add in some chopped pecans. So that's going to be really good too. Kind of like a little pumpkin peanut butter pie ball. All right. So just sprinkle here, a little sprinkle here. You know what? I think I'm going to make 4 of those because these are going to be really good. Then we'll add some pecans. Oh, that pumpkin pie spice smells amazing. You don't have to worry about like thoroughly mixing all of these because these things are like 2 big bites, you know? So it'll mix in your mouth. And you know what? I actually have these no sugar 100% cacao chips, and I'm feeling like I need to add something chocolatey here to the mix. So I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do here. So, oh yeah. It's going to be so good. And then for these last 2 here, I do like this mixed berry kind of blend. It's so good. So this is a combination of cranberries, cherries, and blueberries. So this will be a more kind of like fruit forward one. Yeah, there we go. And look at the variety that you just made from start to finish in like 7 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and put these in the refrigerator and they'll just firm up a bit. And then after that, you can either just like put them in individual little baggies, or for me, I'm just going to put them in my little snack bins. I would say that if you have kids, they are going to love the assembly part of this. So definitely have them help you. But these are so, they're so good. And they have that, like, you know how sometimes like during the workday, I just like want a little treat sometimes, you know? And so they're crunchy, they're flavorful. They're not gonna, you know, spike your blood sugar because they're anchored by healthy fats and proteins. And they're a lot cheaper than the price of, have you been down the convenience food aisle? I'm just like, you're paying what? For what? And so, yeah. Go ahead and give these a try.
Okay, so could you stop with your lunch prep right here and come back the next day to make the rest of the meals? Yes, absolutely. But we have already done the hardest part this week. And now to make meals 2, 3, 4, and 5, it's going to come together just like this. You're already in your kitchen and we are not making a mess. So as for me, I'm going to go ahead and make lunch for the rest of the week right now. I know when I'm in my kitchen, I like to be as dangerous as possible. So if you're going to go ahead and cook these meals, turn on your oven about 400 degrees and then turn that burner back on. Then grab this bowl, wash it, and then return it to your burner. Grab those sweet potatoes and a baking pan. I just like to line mine with this reusable silicone baking sheet. Lay your potatoes on your mat. Give them a few pricks so that they can vent as they bake. Drizzle the skins with a little bit of olive oil. And we're going to pop these in the oven to bake. All right, pour some water in a pot. This is going to be the water we're going to use to boil our pasta. I know, we've got to wait for our water to boil, but we don't have to wait to make our tortilla chips. Yeah, so you're just going to take your tortillas, place them on a cutting board. Where's my knife? Oh, right here. And then just cut them from side to side. Okay, so I'm going to have about this many tortilla chips for the week. So if you've never made your own tortilla chips before, you're going to be like, wait, that's it? I mean, this is something from scratch or nearly from scratch that you want to make because A, do I like having like chips and stuff in our lunch? Yeah, for sure. But also I don't want to pay the markup for those foods, along with the fact that there are so many different, like we're trying to really stay away from hydrogenated oils and colors and all these other things. And so you can get a pack of the tortillas, which I use for so many other different recipes. And they're significantly cheaper. They're like under $3, right? And so a package of chips now, which when you open it, you're getting like, you know, with the air and everything else, like a couple of handfuls for $6 or $7, and especially a premium on them if you're trying to get like the healthy version. These are truly just like corn and flour. Like that is it. So you just take those and then you take a little bit of olive oil, drizzle over top. We are just going to brush the olive oil over top and then sprinkle them with any seasoning of your choice. And I switch this up all the time. So this time I'm just going to add some cumin and some cayenne pepper. These are going to pair really nicely with our chili. And then we're just going to pop these in the oven for a couple of minutes to get crispy. I'm starting to see bubbles, but the water's still not boiling. So let's go on to meal 5. Grab your fridge bin for this one. You're also going to need to grab your chili too and 2 jars because we are going to make a chili salad. And this is fresh, it's crunchy, and it's protein packed. And you know how you want full, but you don't want heavy? Well, this is going to do just that. And yes, you can absolutely eat chili cold. In this particular salad, it actually works. It's so good too. So you're going to start with a base layer of your chili.
Okay, so this is a quart size jar and I'm putting in about that much for my base. Now, I didn't mention this as an ingredient that you had to have, but I do have canned corn, and this is actually some of my home canned corn from the farmer's market, which I love. But this should be the opportunity for you to fold in like what you already have in your pantry. And so if you want to go ahead and just top this with corn, oh, it's going to be so good. So I am just going to spoon in a couple of tablespoons in each jar. And then next I'm just going to add a layer of spring onions to the jar. These are just from my garden out back. All right, friends, so I like adding my leafy greens towards the top of the jar. That way they're not encumbered by like the weight of your heavier ingredients. And so one thing that I have found works, especially if you're not going to eat it within the first like 2 days of making it. So this will likely be, like, you can make any of these meals in all at the same time and then eat them in any order that you want. But I just like having a little bit of a separation. So I will likely have this salad jar on Monday. And so I'm just putting a little something here because when I go to eat my salad jars, I don't know, maybe I just like have never done it right. I rarely am eating it like in the jar. I will still dump everything out like on a plate at work and eat it that way. But now we're going to go ahead and just take whatever, oh, this is my spinach, whatever lettuce that you're using. And we're just going to add that to the top of our jars. And then lastly, you just want to grab your guac. And if you're using these, this is where it becomes fun because look, they just fit right on top. This is truly a salad in a jar. Because, you know, essentially the guac is acting, it's just going to add like extra creaminess. And so, oh my goodness. Boom. Excellent. Our water has finally reached a boil. So let's go ahead and salt our water and add our pasta. Okay, friends, so while the pasta is boiling, grab a bowl because our nacho chips are done. Don't our chips look beautiful? I'm just gonna lay them here on this cloth towel to drain. Okay, so our chips have cooled and I've actually just put the last batch in, but I just want you to hear how crunchy and crispy these are. Oh yeah. So in a moment, I'm going to show you how we're going to arrange everything so that we have like a chili nacho platter. But these are delicious. Mmm. Yeah. You still have that crunch that you want. You seasoned it to perfection. Like I have this nice like kick from the cayenne going on with the cumin. These are so good. Okay, but before we do that, we're going to go ahead and make our chili pasta bake. So our noodles here are nice and plump and tender. And so to this, I'm going to go ahead and sneak in or fold in our spinach. We're just going to go ahead and add all of this. And this is going to go ahead and easily cook down. And next, we're going to add enough chili to the pot to coat the noodles. Beautiful. Now we have this delicious chili mac. Okay, friends, so for these next couple of steps, you're going to need the ricotta cheese and then whatever shredded cheese you're using. And let me say this, if you were making this not just for lunches, but this could easily just be done or assembled in an oven-safe container, just like your cast iron. And then just, because we're just going to dollop on some ricotta cheese, layer with some sprinkled cheese, and then put it in the oven to bake. But here is what I am doing. So since I am taking these to lunch, I have just these two. And you guys know, since I have a smaller kitchen, I like things that like kind of like collapse on you just for easy storage. But these little things, and I will try to remember to link them. I know I'm so bad at the links, but these are dishwasher safe, they're microwave safe, they're oven safe. And so I'm going to assemble our little pasta, our chili pasta bake in these things and then slide them in the oven. And then that way, when I get to work, I just need to, you know, heat this up in the microwave. These are also freezer safe too. I don't think I said that. Okay, so let's go ahead and spoon this in. so here's what we've got. We've got 2 of our containers for the lunches this week. One smaller little like serving size that I'm also just going to go ahead and tuck in the freezer. And then one that I'm calling like a dinner size portion. So we're just going to add some creaminess and really give it that kind of like lasagna spaghetti kind of feel. So dollop on your ricotta. And then all of these, we're just going to pop them in the oven that is already on. Little dollop there, little dollop here. You know what? I am just going to go ahead and use all of this. All right, now let's sprinkle our cheese over top. I'm pretty certain that I don't have to tell you how delicious this is going to be, but let's go ahead and place these in the oven to bake. And just like that, the sweet potatoes are done. Actually, it's time to take out our pastas too. Okay, friends, so we're just going to stop right here and do a battle station check because as you make this entire meal sequence, your kitchen is not going to become undone. So we already have one meal that's in the fridge. This is the pasta bake that we just made. We took out the sweet potatoes. These are the lids and then my tasting spoon. This is the remainder of the chili that we have left. These are the chips since we still need to assemble that lunch. My little stage light. My pot turned over because that's what the camera sits on. This is all we have left in our fridge bin, which is some guac. And I keep these, little pucks in here. I mean, just until I need them. Here's our sink. Again, also not crazy. And then I have started to put back, some of the pantry goods that we're no longer going to use. But again, this is it. Very doable. Okay, friends, so now that our sweet potatoes are fork tender, it's time for us to assemble. And also remember that if you don't want to use sweet potatoes, you could use russets, Yukon Golds, or even halved butternut squash, all would work. And then if you're looking for low carb substitutes, you could do zucchini boats, that kind of thing. There is just something about switching this base up from a regular white potato to a sweet potato because you just have, it's that subtle sweetness underneath that is so good. We're just going to take our open faced potato and you're going to fill it with your chili. And you know what you could do? If you wanted to jazz this up a little bit more, you could drizzle this with tahini or even sour cream. You could even add a sprinkle of cinnamon for that kind of apple pie crossover. Oh yeah. Now I'm going to tuck mine with a little bit of guac and then I'll probably sprinkle, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of shredded cheese on here, which kids will also absolutely love. Now, if you need to put this in a microwave safe dish, absolutely go ahead and do that. I do have access to an oven at work in the teacher's lounge. And let me tell you, I'm going to go ahead and we'll add our dessert on the bottom. But this is the type of meal between the heartiness of the potato and the beans and our ground meat and the cheese. It's so satiating that I am absolutely going to be full and fueled. Okay, so don't forget about these. They've been chilling in the fridge. And I think for this particular meal, since this is already kind of on the sweeter side, I think for my dessert, I'm going to go with more savory. And so I'm just going to pop this right on out. I mean, do you see that? That's why I love these tins. You can also freeze those, by the way. So I'm going to go with our pumpkin and pecan. And that, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for our chocolate one as well. Oh yeah. And just like that, another lunch is done. I am so excited for this lunch today. I think it's because it's stuffed in a baked potato, a sweet potato at that. And it's just going to be this explosion of flavor in your mouth. Oh my goodness. So we've just added our guac. We've got the sweet creaminess from the sweet potato, the seasoned meat. Oh my goodness. Y'all. This is so much flavor. Yeah. This is so good. Yeah, we've got the cheesiness and then the meat that's there. Once the workday starts going, it just zooms. And so I am always so thankful that I already have a lunch that is ready to go. Like, I don't have to waste my planning time, you know, driving to get something or pay like for delivery. I mean, this is just, it's perfect. I know it's going to be delicious. It's going to fill me up. And these kind of lunches rival anything that I would even be, you know, tempted to buy. Okay, so now let's go ahead and assemble our tortilla chips and chili. I'm just going to go ahead and put our chips in this lower section here. And I've got some cheese here, so I'm just going to put that in that container. Put that here. And in my top section, I'm just going to add the chili. And you know what, friends? I actually already have some canned coleslaw at work. And so this is just going to be the most beautiful and nutritious taco plate ever because we have this, y'all, this chili is just so good. It is so good. We have our fresh chips and then we have our cheese. And just like that, another lunch is done. Hey friends, so this is the lunch that I'm eating today. And I am so sorry. I have actually almost eaten all of this because I was eating in a colleague's classroom while our kids are at specials. And this is just, it's so good. It is such a fun little lunch to eat. I mean, you have the taste of like the real corn tortilla chips, and then you have the fresh sprinkled cheese. This is just, it's so good. Yeah, your kids really don't like this one. And then we have our chili pasta bake, which, oh my goodness, this is going to make you the envy of the lunchroom. Well, I should say that about all of these meals. And then we were also able to get 2 additional dinners, right, out of this. And so this is what I call cooking smarter, not harder. All right, these are headed for the fridge. These are headed for the freezer. It's time to heat up our lunch. Ooh, this is gonna be so good. I mean, look at this. We have all this cheesy, melty goodness. I'm telling you, it's like a crossover between lasagna, spaghetti, and then you have all this like meaty goodness. You still have the beans, an excellently flavored sauce. It's a comforting dish. It's going to energize you without weighing you down, especially because we use like the ricotta, so it's like light and fluffy, but also very anchoring too. The flavor on this is amazing, and it does not in any way feel like I've been eating chili for days. Let's not forget about dessert. This is the pumpkin and pecan. Like it really does feel like you're eating pumpkin pie. Oh my goodness. It's so good. It is so good. Let's go ahead and eat lunch. It's not going to get any easier than this. And boom, I'm actually not going to heat this up. I am going to eat it cold. And it totally works. It's super refreshing. You have the nice, like, the juiciness from the lettuce. And then the meat just really anchors it. It's really reminiscent of taco salad. In fact, I should have probably packed some of my nachos with this. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, what I love about these jar jackets is that you can just put this like straight into the microwave, and then when I take it out and it's hot, it's not going to burn your hands. So I'm just going to, you know, release the lid. Oh my goodness, don't you just love the smell of chili when like you open up the jar and it just fills the air? Okay, I think I'm going to do 3 minutes. All right. See, I'm going to reach right in. I'm holding this jar. I mean, of course, like I can tell that the jar itself is warm, but I can like hold on to it. And look, this chili, do you see that? This is nice and hot. Let me move that. So when you pack your lunch from home, you're spending anywhere from $2 to $4 per meal. But when you're going out to eat, like I just walked by some of my colleagues and they're like, all right, so what are we eating today? And you're spending at least like a minimum of $8 for something that's, I mean, and if you're only spending $8, it's probably not even likely something that's going to fill you up. And so I am telling you, I would much rather, just in terms of feeling full, eating something that's great, and not breaking the bank every day, pack my lunch. Okay, now let's taste our chili.
Oh, this is so good. I'm telling you, that pumpkin in there, it just lends this like this sweetness to it. Because usually, and I get this bad habit from my dad, but he's from Louisiana, y'all, and they sprinkle sugar over everything. Greens, your chili, you know, all that. I did not do that with this chili. And it's not that it's like over the top sweet, but it is, there's a sweetness to it. It's so good. So let's talk about the next time someone tells you chili is just a recipe. You're just gonna laugh, grab your thermos and your taco shells and say, actually, it's my entire sanity-saving meal plan. So to get more no-nonsense meal inspiration that actually works, click the video on your screen. I'll see you in my kitchen or garden soon. Take care, friends.